There is absolutely no better way of celebrating the finals than recognizing that on July 10th, 1973, after 300 years of colonization, the archipelago of the Bahamas became independent. Today, the Bahamas celebrates 51 years of independence. Can I ask all of my Bahamians to get to their feet so we can acknowledge you, celebrate you. Happy Independence, Bahamas. We'll see you at CANTO 2025. So, before we get into this morning's full proceedings, let's just highlight our sponsors again, please. Our headline sponsor is... I can't hear you. Give them a round of applause. A round of applause for our other sponsors. Digicel, Bankai, Mavenair, Solution Box, Alive. Keep the applause going. You had your coffee. Brava, Enet, Telesor, Cerillion, and We Solve CX. Please give them all a round of applause. So we have a couple of hot competitions going on. The winner of Enet's raffle for the Samsung Galaxy S24 is going to be announced today before lunch. And these competitions run this way. If the winner is not present, these are the rules. The winner is not present, it belongs to ROCHELLE Cameron. I will graciously accept and use on your behalf, and I will thank you. I will text you from the phone and take a selfie of myself and say, big up you. So please be here for the announcement of the winner of the raffle. Remember to fill out the CANTO event evaluation on the CANTO app, which you've all downloaded, please. You get a $300 Amazon gift voucher. And the competition that's going real hot is the swiping of your name tags. I hear there are about 17 people in hot pursuit of the prize of the 2-night stay at Hyatt Bahamar. So if you've not swiped your badge today, I don't know if you can still swipe, Andrea. You can still quickly swipe. I see people getting up quickly, swipe. And then there is a spin the wheel that will be conducted today to determine the winner before we break for lunch. So you have to be entered. And then we spin the wheel, and then if you're not here, you just write it up in my name. Rochelle Cameron, thanks you. Please remember, we have giveaways in the exhibition hall. Please go and check out the Hummer. Has anyone checked out the Hummer? You've checked it out. If you've checked it out, raise your hand. You may win a prize. Pete raised his hand quickly. He's like, me. I was joking. You know, we win a prize. Flytech Computers is giving away a CA 400 4K wireless conferencing system, and here's how you can win. Visit CANTO's Instagram page, look for the post with the Flytech done on Monday, like it, and then follow CANTO and all the Flytech pages, and the winner is going to be announced in the lunch break. So we have lots of exciting prizes. Leon, are you giving away a trip to Bahamas? Leon is like, that was a yeah? Oh my, it looks like we're going to have a reason to give away that prize. Thank you. Ready to go. Please, a round of applause for the Ministry of Tourism. So not only are we giving away the 2-night stay, but also a flight to the Bahamas from wherever you come from. So at this time, please turn your attention to the monitors as we hear remarks from Dr. Cosmos Zava, Director, Telecommunication Development Bureau.
Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, let me begin by thanking the board and management of CANTO for inviting me to participate at this annual event. Although I could not be with you in person, I'm honored to be part of your 39th annual conference and exhibition held under the theme, Towards a Sustainable Digital Economy. The theme of your event resonates with us at the ITU. Our two strategic goals for 2024 to 2027 dovetail with your theme, namely universal connectivity, seeking to enable and foster universal access to affordable, high-quality, and secure telecommunications/ICTs, and sustainable digital transformation, seeking to foster equitable and inclusive use of telecommunications to empower people and societies for sustainable development. Digital transformation brings numerous opportunities. It also, however, has its own challenges. Those we must overcome. At the recent 4th International Conference on Small Island Developing States held in Antigua and Barbuda, I highlighted the power of digital in driving economies and addressing today's challenges that include climate change, natural disasters, environmental degradation, trade, and others. We are doing a lot in the Caribbean that include the development and deployment of early warning systems guided by artificial intelligence under the Early Warning for All UN-wide initiative, designing of national emergency telecommunication plans, e-waste management strategies, implementation of smart village and smart island projects. In a region where most people own a mobile phone, it means we have an opportunity to ensure that they are all within reach of an early warning signal. As a key partner of the Early Warnings for All initiative, the ITU stands ready to collaborate with CANTO to implement mobile early warning systems in the Caribbean region. We have an obligation to save lives. In the Telecommunication Development Bureau, we are ready to support your ambitious journey towards a sustainable digital economy. This, again, I must say, augurs well with our 5 key priorities, namely meaningful, affordable connectivity, creating an enabling environment to attract investment, digital transformation, resource mobilization and international cooperation, and cybersecurity, including child online protection. As we seek to bridge the digital divide, we are also committed to close the digital skills divide, as well as the innovation and the entrepreneurship divide. This is critical, especially as we are confronted with the rapid technological advancement in terms of artificial intelligence, space economy and sustainability, big data, and robotics. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just concluded one of our annual flagship events, the Global Symposium for Regulators, which we held in Kampala, Uganda, under the theme, Regulating for Impact. Regulators from around the world gathered in record numbers. Discussions focused on AI, space, economy, and also sustainability. The focus on regulating for a sustainable digital future fits in all aspects with your march towards a sustainable digital economy. I want to assure you that all the work that we do in ITU provides building blocks to help countries leverage the opportunities of digital-driven growth. Our work is only meaningful if it has impact on the people. I believe that meaningful digital transformation that makes the governments more efficient and economies perform well is what will accelerate our pace towards the achievement of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, by 2030. Let us join hands and make digital serve people, the planet, and deliver prosperity to the people. I wish you a productive and inspiring conference. Know that in ITU, you have a reliable and resilient partner. I thank you.
Another round of applause for Dr. Cosmas Zava. We're going to jump straight into our agenda now and welcome Chip Strange Chief Strategy Officer of UCLA, and he's going to be talking to us about network QoE. Please give a CANTO Wednesday welcome to Chip Strange.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the introduction and for the opportunity to speak to you all here today. As was just said, my name is Chip Strange. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at UCLA, and some of the things that I'm responsible for include our government relations and industry outreach efforts, our M&A program, our brand licensing and industry analyst programs within our growing company. To start with, I wanted to provide a brief introduction to the company and sort of for those of you, let me start with a question. Who here has heard of UCLA? Raise your hand. Okay, not bad. So our primary, our primary focus is a symbiotic relationship with consumers, with the industry, and with the regulatory authorities that regulate the industry for the explicit purpose of improving connectivity for more citizens around the world. We have a broad reach for what is still a relatively small company, where we reach out to the industry via our operator network hardware relationships, the regulatory authorities and governments that are looking to expand access to broadband and mobile services at a rapid rate. We have a very strong relationship with non-governmental organizations, academics, and nonprofits, which I'll talk about in a second. And then, of course, the nature of our relationship with consumers is largely driven by our two primary flagship consumer brands, which are Speedtest and Down Detector. We were very fortunate to catch lightning in a bottle about 18 years ago when we introduced Speedtest into the world at a time when consumers really didn't understand what their networking environments were like, and we provide them with a suite of tools that gave them some visibility. The business started as an advertising business, right? And we have developed it very aggressively into being a large data and insights business where we license our insights and software all around the world. We have business in more than 150 countries. We have direct employees in more than 30, and we have a handful of offices littered around the world. When you think about Speedtest, it has become the de facto standard for testing mobile and fixed network performance and quality of experiences. And as you'll see on the screen, we have 500 million unique users annually of this application. On the Down Detector side, it's not as well known a capability, but I wanted to add a couple of comments about it for this audience. So Down Detector is in just under 50 countries, where it serves as an opportunity for people to understand not just what's happening to the telecommunications infrastructure, but what is happening to those services that are reliant on them. So if you were to type in a nation where Down Detector is available, operator outage or Facebook outage or Fortnite outage, et cetera, the types of services that consumers are interested in are available there, and we track those through an array of different types of capabilities. More broadly speaking, in addition to Speedtest and Down Detector, we also have a controlled mobile network drive testing capability called RootMetrics. And of course, we have Ekahau, which is an enterprise-focused industrial Wi-Fi design and optimization service. So at a campus like this one here at Turnberry, Ekahau can be used to ensure that the Wi-Fi infrastructure is optimized to the fullest extent of its capabilities. From an industry perspective, I wanted to highlight a couple of key things here. So we are an American-based company, and we have a very strong relationship with the United States Federal Communications Commission. Our data and services have been licensed by the Commission for many, many years now. And it serves as one data point for ongoing network benchmarking programs that are required as part of the regulatory remit in the United States. They're also, by the way, a user of Down Detector as well. We have established a long-running relationship with GSMA Intelligence. We are a member of the ITU and Study Group 12, which for those of you not familiar with Study Group 12, it is really focused on network performance and monitoring capabilities. And finally, we have a program called UCLA for Good. And UCLA for Good, its intent is to ensure that what I would characterize as small g governments, economic development organizations, academics, et cetera, have access to some of our data to help ensure that the research that they're doing around telecommunications and its development is informed by us in as many places as possible. So we're very happy to call the World Bank a key partner. The Development Data Partnership is a big part of our program there, as well as a whole slew of academics and other types of nonprofits. And ultimately, when you think about UCLA, I would say that because we have this symbiotic relationship, we are relevant to consumers, we're relevant to the telecommunications industry, and we're relevant to the governments that regulate it. And that creates a flywheel of value creation, not just for us, but ultimately for consumers and for the citizens that are living in all of your nations. And if there's one thing I want you to take away from this morning is remember that UCLA deeply cares about human beings and getting access to better broadband infrastructure. It is a core tenet of our founding 18 years ago, and it continues to be to this day. So focusing on telecommunications networks, which is what I'm going to do today, obviously we have fixed networks and mobile networks, and there are a whole slew of different types of insights that can be gleaned from our capabilities, but here are a few from more of a governmental perspective. So one of the ways that we are utilized is just to validate what's really happening. Very few services in the world can really understand what's happening at the consumer device or at the citizen device. The network operators and the governments have a lot of visibility into the infrastructure that is intended to deliver the services, but they may not necessarily have visibility to what's actually being received. Now, it's important to understand as well that the infrastructure itself isn't the only indicator of the quality of experience, right? There are tariffs that dictate that, right? You may have an infrastructure that's capable of delivering very, very high performance, but either the economic environment or the accessibility environment doesn't yield utilization of that type of network, which is a data point that we may not necessarily see. So I don't want to suggest that we can show the entire picture. But fundamentally, it's about the ground truth, what is happening, where are investments possible or needed the most, these served, underserved, and then of course unserved areas. It certainly supports the ability we support the ability to understand at the CPE, at the router level, what is happening at that point. So for example, as you all know, there's a lot of obfuscation that occur with Wi-Fi, especially on consumer premises. And so we can control for that as well with some of the capabilities that we have. On the mobile side, think of the opportunity as understanding layers of granularity of information. So we understand and know where the mobile operators are claiming to deliver services by air interface technology. We understand what types of services and what types of coverage are actually received by the consumer through an array of different data collection capabilities. And these information are used to benchmark and understand all of the operator environments in the countries that we have data, which again is the vast majority of them. And finally, I think that we have a really comprehensive view by using all of these informational assets to be able to paint a picture that in many cases is not fully understood. Sorry, it's not advancing. There we go. So, not to belabor this subject on the trust side of things, but without consumer trust, UCLA doesn't have a business, okay? And it's extraordinarily important that we respect the privilege of those relationships. We have a massive amount of measurements that we collect every day between our fixed and mobile network data sets. We have 50 billion tests to date. Now, This is 50 billion times in the last 18 years when a consumer has directly interacted with speed test. It's an extraordinary amount of volume of data that we, of course, save and use every single day. Also, we have a server network that's fairly unique. We have more than 15,000 test servers all around the world. And the reason that we have this is that we feel like we want to be as close to the end user as possible so that our measurements are as accurate as possible. Now, we also test to CDNs and gaming networks and other types of video and content delivery networks. Nonetheless, we certainly have our server network as well. So I'll sum up this slide as simply saying that we believe in measuring twice and cutting once, right? And to be able to drive really effective public policies, you need to have the best information that's available. And that information is going to come from a lot of sources, not just Ookla, of course. I'm not arrogant enough to think that we are a sole provider of this type of insight, but we believe, and our track record has suggested, that we are a key part of many of the good policies that are created around the world. Here are a few examples of some of our regulatory relationships. I won't belabor this point, but it's not just, this is just a small snippet, but it's not just exhaustive from a standpoint of its global reach. It's also both large countries and small countries, highly developed economies versus poor economies, et cetera, right? So we believe fundamentally that the challenges that nations face, while they're all unique, both at the local level as well as at the regional level, they're also very similar, right? In that there are still wide pockets of underserved markets and areas in these countries all around the world. So from a regulatory perspective, you can map the service availability with our information alongside with your own. You can understand across the entire range of connectivity services what these capabilities are looking like and what that ground truth is. You can certainly break apart on the mobile side, performance by operator, by spectrum band, by device, to understand whether the operators in your markets are not only delivering the networks that you've licensed, the spectrum that you've licensed to them, but are their policies around devices actually penetrating well into the marketplace as well. You can understand high traffic areas from a public safety perspective and make sure that the infrastructure is as resilient as possible in those pressure points, in those pressure locations across your jurisdictions. And then you can finally analyze and understand trends across your markets as well as your region and the broader world. And to that end, I wanted to highlight a recent article that we published with our industry analysts, specifically focused on fixed network performance in the Caribbean. So a few things to highlight, and I'm not going, I would ask you all to go out to our website and have a look at this, but we've basically did a full analysis of the Caribbean region, fixed network performance, and I wanted to highlight a couple of the insights. So one of the KPIs, one of the many KPIs that we use is what we call consistency. And this is a blended measurement of network performance that's a blend between downlink and uplink network speeds for these fixed networks. And the thing that I wanted to highlight here that I felt was really important was that the consistency of networks across the Caribbean region increased 45% over a 4-year period, beginning in 2020 through the first quarter of 2024. That's extraordinary progress, and you're all to be commended for that level of increase in your network's performance. You can see on the chart there that this is showing median download speeds by the nations for the nations that we put on this chart. And you're going to see a fairly wide array of different performance, and ultimately this is about fiber, right? The more fiber that can be deployed and the more people that are actually consuming information, consuming networks and taking advantage of fiber are going to be the ones that are going to have the highest speeds. That's just a logical conclusion. However, it's also important to highlight that that legacy infrastructure can also impact this type of performance. So you may have a market where there's a lot of fiber that's been deployed, but you still have enough legacy copper infrastructure that's in place that can slow things down enough to sort of skew or weight the scores slower, even though there's a lot of fiber that's available. But at the end of the day, you know, you don't need to hear from me to know that fiber is critically important. From a consistency perspective, I also threw in this graph as well. And what this shows is that basically almost every market in the Caribbean has around 60% consistency KPI, which is to say that 60% of the measurements achieve 25 down, 3 megabits per second up, which we view as a consistent network experience. And so while you certainly have a few lower performers in the mix, the consistency scores across the region are very, very good. And finally, I just wanted to flag one thing briefly. In addition to the sort of benchmarking type of capabilities that we have for the operators in the room, we are very keen to help you understand and optimize the performance of your networks, to differentiate your networks when they are highly performant, and ultimately to increase consumer or customer satisfaction. So think about Ookla as being able to not just inform and provide information around the network performance of both the customers on your own networks, but also your competitors' networks. But also we want to help improve the relationship that you have with the consumers themselves. And we have a whole suite of capabilities that can support that. And so with that, I think I'm right at my time. I appreciate your participation. And again, it's a privilege to be here in front of you all today. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.
That presentation. And we're moving straight into sustainable connectivity, off-grid hybrid power, solutions for climate resilient cell towers. And please, can we have a warm welcome for Heather Wilkins, Vice President and Chief Commercial Officer of HCI Energy. Welcome, Heather. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning. So if you weren't sure on catching that full title, I know it's a mouthful, but the one thing that I wanted to talk about this morning is when you think about creating a sustainable digital economy, there's more than one piece and more than one component. And a really key part of that is power. And there's a lot that's overlooked when you think about bringing power to unserved, underserved, or just very remote, very rural locations. So when you think about connectivity for all, getting creative about how you can get power to provide that type of service, even if it's not your highest speed type of service, sometimes it's the most critical component. So that's what I'm going to talk a little bit about today. So this is just a brief background on me. I've done 2 decades of telecom work, so I have seen going from GSM to UMTS to 3G, now to 5G, and we've still got communities that are nowhere close to the level of connectivity we want them to have. So in that, when you think about building what matters and bringing connectivity to all, the one thing that's really resonates with me is that throughout seeing the telecom builds that have happened historically, it's not that they've created this sustainable model that works everywhere. It doesn't. That's why there's not connectivity everywhere. So what I want to talk a little bit about today is, and I've got 2 things here, the mic and is why would you even use the word hybrid? When I think about sustainability, I think about how are there different ways that I can power a site? Can I do it in a green way? Why would I want to bring renewables in? Why not use fuel 24/7? Here's a lot of the reasoning why. Yes, the diagram on here is more domestic US driven, but the cost of electricity alone, each of us who have a home know it continues to increase every day. Commercial power providers tend to pass that on. If you're looking at bringing connectivity to a community that doesn't have commercial power today, sometimes it's extremely cost prohibitive. So what do? You try to do it with fuel 24/7, getting fuel to that place, the cost of fuel in and of itself it's arduous. It's a lot to take on. So when you think about why renewables, one, if you can reduce your electricity cost and try to own some of that power generation, it starts to feel a little better. And you're able to pass that on to your consumers and constituents. Grid reliability. This is something that, I mean, in most cases, it's not reliable. You've got crisis events and disasters that happen, but even maybe a grid that consistently doesn't have what it needs to power what's needed or where it's needed. So one, the ability to look at redundancy and using different power sources allows you to have some peace of mind. You're generating your own power. You're able to leverage different sources and rotate from one to the other. That's what hybrid means, and that's what HCA Energy and the team there does, is we incorporate multiple renewable and power generation sources, even in completely remote and off-grid locations, so that you're never reliant on a single one. That's what's unique, and that's what's different about the word hybrid and why I'm here today. So, there's some other things to think about. Ongoing costs, that's when I mentioned fuel. If you've got the ability to generate your own power, it creates something that we haven't really talked about this week. Energy sovereignty, the ability to own your own power generation. That's a really powerful tool because one, you can reduce your overall operating expenses. And again, that's something when you think about cost prohibitive, what your constituents and consumers are able to pay for the service you want to bring to them. If you're able to create some cost savings on the front end, that model looks a whole lot better. Net zero emissions targets, not always top of mind. It's something you are seeing broadly getting more global traction, depending on the size of the companies, the countries, and their development. And there's a community engagement side of this. As I think about it, I have a young daughter. I want to leave a good planet for her. If we continue to use resources that are not infinite, like fuel to power telecom sites, at some point it becomes a critical component that we're not able to continue that service. This is why we want to look to renewables, right? We want to create overall operational resiliency when we're building out these networks. So if you're to take this on and even think about incorporating different types of power sources, where do you even start? Where do you begin? What are the things you want to think about? So there's three key components. That's why I've got 3 pillars here. And it really plays into a lot of planning and research. And those are the key components to it. You're not going to put solar everywhere. You're not going to put wind everywhere. You may not have enough space to build out a solar farm to power a community you want to. There may be no fuel that's readily available. It's a mountainous area or somewhere that's really hard to get to. So you've really got to look at where are you putting this and take the time to do the research to say, let's do a study. Let's see what's going to be the most efficient and effective way for us to deploy these resources. We see this every day when we're working on projects. We've got sites, and one of my team members, he'll happily tell you about a site visit he recently had that the only way up there was helicopter. That in and of itself means that you're probably never going to provide connectivity there because it's so cost prohibitive to even get there in the first place. And so again, getting ready, doing the planning, and doing the research. Is this site ever going to be on grid? Is there an unreliable grid today? Let's look at different ways to create resiliency by leveraging battery storage, by leveraging wind, by leveraging solar. When you combine those, you also need some sort of power management system. You can't have distributed energy resources and not manage them. You need to know how much you're generating, where it's going, or if something's broken in that system, how do you switch from one source to another? So that's part of your design considerations and how you're optimizing those tools. What I think is really unique and important too is that it's something that we don't always see firsthand, especially when you're just finally bringing connectivity to an area, is planning for remote monitoring, diagnosing things, knowing and maybe understanding what's going on before you actually need to deploy someone out there to fix it is also a really powerful tool. It's not always cheap or cost effective to do that, but when you think about the potential impact long term, that's really why you want to reflect on that point and take those things into consideration. Are there sites that are more important than others? When you think about a fixed wireless type of network where you're hopping that signal back to another site to get to a fiber endpoint, if that particular site goes down, How many other sites are affected? How many other communities are affected by that? So that one single site may be the one that you want to use the most resiliency and redundancy in how you're setting that up, because you want to make sure that one doesn't take out the rest of them. And so leveraging wind, leveraging solar, leveraging battery storage, and those components to manage that, you want to think about that across that whole network design. And operationally, as I had mentioned, having that ability to do some remote monitoring, to do some diagnostics, that is going to help you long term, right? So it's one where thinking long term from the start when you're building networks, leveraging renewable sources and creating your own energy sovereignty is going to help you to create that sustainable network and provide that access to economy and to growth. And that's what we're all here for. That's why we've been here all week, right? So that's what I wanted to share with everyone this morning. I know it's been a busy morning, a busy few days, but when you're thinking about building your networks, don't necessarily think you can't really incorporate some of these renewable sources. It's going to give you redundancy and resiliency and the power to bring connectivity to areas that you may have otherwise not been able to. So thank you for the time this morning.
Thank you very much, Heather. Another round of applause for Heather Wilkins, Vice President and Chief Commercial Officer, HCI Energy. Careful, Heather. Carl White is the Chief Innovation Officer of Guava Group. And Charles is going to be talking to us from AI to AGI. Big Brother is now intelligent. Carl is here? Oh, hi, Carl. And as Carl makes his way up, I'd just like to recognize that we have the Honorable Charles Cooper, Minister of Traffic, Transport, and Urban Planning out of Curacao. Good morning, Minister. Please, another round of applause for Carl White, Chief Innovation Officer of Guava Group. Hi, Carl.
Time horizon 1 minute. Chief, we're catching up to the future.
Shut up, Ivana. Jad? Jad?
Go ahead.
Did he close the front door?
What?
Did Marks close the front door?
Negative. The front door is open. The front door is open.
Time horizon 30 seconds.
I forgot my glasses. Oh! You know how blind I am without them.
Oh, don't cry.
Marks!
Look at me. Look at me. Positive for Howard Marks. Mr. Marks, by mandate of the District of Columbia Pre-Crime Division, I'm placing you under arrest for the future murder of Sarah Marks and Donald Dubin that was to take place today, April 22nd, at 0800 hours, 4 minutes.
No, I didn't do anything. Sarah!
Give the man his hat.
Oh, God. Don't put that halo on me! Sarah!
Put your hand on your head.
Help me! I wasn't getting to anything!
Officer Scott, with the pre-crime trauma response unit. I want you to just sit here a minute and listen to me. Your husband is being arrested by officers from pre-crime.
Good morning, everyone. So the question is, by show of hands, who would like to see one arrested before they commit a crime? Anyone? I'm going to flip the script. Would you like to be arrested before you commit a crime? Show of hands. Any hands? What is important for us to understand is that we are here. We are here. Artificial intelligence came on the scene around 10 years ago. But the new technology that exists today is artificial general intelligence. Let me step back for a minute. In any city, in any country, safety and security is absolutely the bedrock for any city or country to thrive. Think of it like having a nice car. I'm more old school. I like V8s, rusted rat rod looking, highly powered. But if I don't have a good roadway to drive it on, it's useless. If you have a country and you have infrastructure and you have all the best things, but crime is rampant, there is no sense. Every one of us in here, as we look to purchase a home, as we look to raise our families, as we look for somewhere we're going to live, paramount to our decisions is the safety conditions that exist in those areas. So it doesn't matter what a country has to offer, if there isn't safety and security that the citizens can live and play and work without fear, then everything else is useless. So where do we come in? We stand on the revolution right now of something that is going to change the world, as you know. You've seen ChatGPT, that's just scratching the surface. A lot of major companies have taken initiative to embrace artificial general intelligence because now we are moving in an era where, as it relates to security surveillance, we're not just telling the system to recognize a face or alert because there's an entry. Artificial general intelligence can actually tell you what the mood of that person is. It can tell you what their intent is. And it can take actions autonomously to stop that from happening. That's where we are. Now let's talk about a use case. Many of you have seen, experienced, or heard about Hurricane Beryl. And I'm sure you've seen the videos of all the different things that are happening in different areas. The beautiful thing about AGI is that it can be tailor-made to respond to any situation because it has the ability to understand the context of what it's seeing. It is not just rule-based. So, for example, if you happen to be Jamaican like I am, and you've happened to see the video of the lady on the house holding on to the zinc. Side note, a couple years ago, that would have been my mother. The only difference is she said she would have had a 60-pound weight to help with some of the load. But in a situation like that, deploying camera systems that allows you to see and know what's going on. AGI would have said to her, come off of the roof before you lose your head. Translation, kindly get off the roof before you lose your life. So we're moving into a new era now where it's not just about rule-based anymore. It's about utilizing a technology that can facilitate our law enforcement, irrespective of where you are and irrespective of the amount of resources that you have. The old days of tedious task of filtering through, hours of video in order to find evidence is gone. You can literally now just simply say, find me this person, here's a picture, and give me all occurrences that they may have appeared in a video. And it goes one step further. The artificial intelligence can not only find that, but it can package that with all relevant other data from all camera streams and put that together for you in a package where that can be presented as evidence for prosecution. So we're moving into an era now where AGI can move to predictive analytics. It recognizes patterns, behaviors, and predicts potential threats. It goes one step further. It can recognize emotions and behavior. That means you can actually allow AGI to look at a room, look at the face, and make an intuitive decision as to what those individuals or crowd is feeling or about to do. There's also privacy concerns, and AGI will protect and preserve those privacies. It will help for intelligent response. I'll give you an example. We have multiple deployments across the Caribbean, and in some cases, they're monitoring a large property. Prior to the advent of AI and AGI, we would have rule-based instructions like, for example, we draw a line at certain entry points where there's no manned security. And if there's a crossing, an alert goes off and it says intruder. And that's all the security personnel gets. With AGI, AGI can analyze exactly what that intruder is. Is it someone who is coming in to perform some nefarious activity? Or is it an employee who is late and decided to take the back door because they lost their badge? That is the difference with AGI. In cases where we have large properties, it can go one step further. It can automatically activate a drone to fly to that waypoint where that alert was established and shoot back video to command and control so that they can have full situational awareness as they're sending resources to that area. And it can also automatically track whatever is going on. So keep in mind that we're now moving into a new era where safety is paramount, and it is important that we factor these things into our decisions as Caribbean countries so that we can, in general, provide better safety security for everyone. You've heard the term, with great power comes great responsibility. AGI has the power to disrupt our lives as we know it. And so we have to make sure that in conjunction with its abilities, we have to keep humans in the loop. We have to make sure that it adheres to certain standards so that it cannot be abused. Like all technologies, its purpose and its uses is going to be determined by the persons who are actually using those technologies. The good news is, in the same way that the bad guys can use it, we can use it as well. The big thing for us is that we will always keep humans in the loop, and we will make sure that it's a conjunction between the artificial intelligence and a human person making sure that it's monitoring the decisions that it's making as it carries out its instructions. So my intent is not to scare you. My intent is for you to understand where we are, where we're going, and why it is important for security to be paramount in our lives. Economic development, businesses will want to invest, tourists will want to come to our islands, and in general, it improves the well-being for everyone. So as you make your decisions throughout the Caribbean, as you improve your infrastructure, as you shore up everything that's there, understand that it is very important that safety and security is at the forefront of your decisions. Now, the good news is I have a direct connection to the artificial intelligent beings. That was something that was bestowed on me months ago. I don't know why I was chosen, but it just happened. So I am on the side of the humans, and I will communicate our intentions to them as we proceed forward. Our motto and our mission is to secure the world. The best way to understand, fight, or use any technology is to understand it thoroughly. So I will leave you with this. We are here to provide security and safety so that all citizens can live freely and have a wonderful and beautiful life, especially in the Caribbean. Any questions? Now, in closing, if you have any questions, I do have a command and control vehicle on the outside. That shows you what we're capable of doing, and that is part one in our efforts to build something to secure our future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carl White, Chief Innovation Officer, Guava Group, for that very exciting presentation. When the video started, I saw Lisa Agard read for her popcorn. So, Carl, we can ask, you are the liaison officer with AI, and we can ask any questions. Okay. I was just wondering if it could tell me how I could continue eating a little bit more, not exercise, but still lose weight. If you can ask it for me. I just want to know. Because my summer body isn't happening. I just want to know if there's a way. Okay, please find out. Let me know. Thanks. Thank you very much. Another round of applause for Carl White. And we now move to corporate governance and management of AI. And we welcome to the stage Lauren Wilson, partner from Dentons. Welcome, Lauren. Another round of applause for Lauren Wilson, partner from Dentons.
Hello, everyone. So it is a pleasure to join you all today. I am here to speak with you about, how as business leaders you can implement internal governance structures to manage your employees' use of AI for core business functions. I'm going to outline a few options for models that you can use based on various factors about your business, size, tech savvy and risk factors such as, how your industry is regulated, the reputational risk you're willing to endure, and, the scope of government regulation in your region, the size of your organization, et cetera. And then to wrap it all up, I'm also going to go over kind of broad general governance considerations that should be considered no matter, the specific governance model you should choose to go with, whether it's one of the four I outline or, something you come up with, on your own or hopefully with the assistance of legal counsel. Next slide. There are a few approaches for how companies can manage AI deployment throughout their businesses, especially for employee usage. Core functions we're seeing for AI use, of course, are, in the HR context for resume screening, interviewing, and then employee usage throughout the business, whether it's using ChatGPT to write emails, meeting agendas. I also have a client that is using AI for core consumer functions, a chat bot to answer consumer inquiries or even HR inquiries, or even to cull CCTV and data and incident reports from employees in order to improve safety within their factories. There's myriad uses, but there's a lot of risks that can arise. So we have to be careful with how you manage deployment and make sure that there are structures in place within your organization to do so responsibly. And how you do that can depend on several things: the goals of your business, the regulatory requirements, your risk tolerance, and just how savvy business leaders and folks within the organization are with technology in general. So the first approach that's available to you is to exercise extreme caution and just outright ban the use of AI within your organization. This isn't my favorite approach because it does not involve outsourcing work to your law firms and then I go out of business. So I wouldn't recommend it because, AI is the future. And so as more and more companies adopt AI tools for their internal purposes, if you don't, you risk being left behind because of the cost savings and the organizational improvements that they can offer. So another approach, if you do want to the next option that's available to you is, to erect guardrails among this different departments within your organization. And so this would involve tailoring access and usage policies to the specific needs and risks of each department. So your marketing department might have approval to use AI for customer segmentation and personalized content creation, and then your usage policies would focus on, IP concerns and making sure that, folks involved have vetted the tools for proper indemnities and to ensure that, you're not using, covered content in order to produce whatever you need for your own environment. And then the HR department might have approval to utilize AI for resume screening and other employee engagement functions. Your legal department may be able to use it for certain research functions and things like that, but would have certain sensitive data protections around that use based on the client's requirements. But no matter what, this approach involves very clear guidelines for each department and ensuring that the folks within the department are trained on those guidelines and that authorized users are accountable and responsible for overseeing how they use the tools. And finally, of course, regular audits to ensure that each department are using tools responsibly. Whenever you have a claim come out of, use of AI or most tools, it's important to be able to show that you have been auditing its use and then correcting errors in order to mitigate any damages that might arise. The third option is, having set lists of pre-approved AI tools and platforms that employees can use to carry out their job responsibilities. And these tools will have been vetted for security, compliance, and reputational considerations by the appropriate individuals within the organization. And process for doing that would be, approving new tools, reviewing and updating the existing list of tools, regularly auditing the tools and your vendors, checking for litigation and enforcement actions involving those tools, and using that to hone your list, and then monitoring your oversight mechanisms to ensure that the use and the outcomes for the tools are intended, as you intended for your organization, and actually having a net positive effect on your operations. And this approach helps you balance, AI's advantages while making sure that it's providing the benefits that you're actually seeking and that you have appropriate control over the tools that are being used. And finally, your fourth option is just to have an organization-wide set of basic guidelines and principles that your employees can turn to whenever they are looking to use a new AI tool. This approach can be tricky because you have no oversight over how trained your employees are on the law, on the technology, and so it really requires a lot of trust in your employees to self-regulate and to be responsible. This may be the approach of the future, 20 years from now, once we're all familiar with AI, but I think right now it's probably extremely risky. As my predecessor presenter pointed out, no matter what, human oversight is key to minimizing, any risk when it comes with implementation of AI within your organization. And when we think about risk, generally, we think about 3 areas of risk. 1, bad data being used to train the AI, and so that data could be inaccurate, outdated, or the company may not have the right to use it. And so that could lead to bad results, false results, any number of things. Another is that the AI application is no longer the right tool for being used. As a lawyer, I shouldn't be using ChatGPT to write legal briefs because ChatGPT makes up cases and sources, and because that is not what ChatGPT was intended for. Or the tool is changed over time, or the use case is different. And so that's why it's important to keep up with, the terms of your vendor and to do those regular audits of the tool. And the third risk in this area is that the output is just bad. And so the application is not functioning as intended. We had a case with a Canadian airline that was telling a customer that they were entitled to a free bereavement fare, and that was not true. Same in HR context, you have a chatbot answering HR questions, and they're telling employees bad information about what their rights are or employee policies are, and then your employees rely on them. You don't want that type of outcome, so you have to look out for those things, and the best way to do that is by having human oversight. And so when it comes to human oversight, the questions we get the most are, who's doing it, where do they sit, and who's the ultimate decision maker? And so, this slide outlines a couple of options for addressing those questions. And that is having oversight committees for AI, essentially creating an AI vertical within your organization. And so the focus of the committee can vary based on your business goals, your sector, how much risk you're willing to endure, and which governance model you adopted. But generally, there are two options for oversight: a centralized one that goes across the organization, and then department-specific AI committees. And so with your centralized governance committee, you would have a global committee or regional, depending on where you're based, that is super involved in decision-making and has a stake in all AI usage across the organization and ensures that your principles and guidelines are consistent and your usage implementation is consistent across the organization. This option is best for organizations that are very strict, don't want to endure a lot of reputational risk in connection with the use of AI, and typically organizations that are situated in one or a few regions, and so there's not a lot of variance in regulatory approaches to AI. You wouldn't want to have a company with operations in the EU, and that'll be subject to the new EU law, and then a company with operations in Singapore as well that will be introducing more of a self-regulatory guidelines and toolkits to help you with it, because your obligations are just different. And with your department-specific committees, similar to the governance model, each department has a committee that would review decisions about deployment of AI tools within your specific department. With that, you can also consider supplemental AI committees to go alongside your broader committees. And these ensure that your organization is cross-functional when addressing AI concerns. And the key to your supplemental AI committees are to ensure that representatives on the committees have the right amount of authority to approve, review, and accept risk for the company for any particular use case. But these supplemental committees that are laid out, are kind of the key considerations for evaluating AI, and I think, kind of key issue areas in which it's really good for one or two people to buckle down and become experts and stakeholders for the organization in order to, adequately argue for or against implementation of a tool based on their specific focus. And I think in doing that, you kind of get to the best outcome, and the organization is able to really weigh what's important to them in the long run. But the specific choice of these committees, whether you adopt one or all of them, should just, again, reflect the unique needs of your organization, your industry, location, regulatory environment, and your corporate culture, how you lead within the organization, whether it's flat, things like that. But in the end, I think everything presented just can lay out that there are a ton of approaches, whether you adopt one or more of these or something more tailored to your organization, as you grow, it can all work. But I think there's no option at this point to not be thinking about how your organization will use AI, because whether we like it or not, our employees are using it. And so rather than have to go around sniffing out those rogue adopters, I think adopting a governance structure will encourage employees to be forthright about their use cases and encourage everyone to be more responsible users of AI, which is, for the good of all of our businesses. If you have any questions, you can find me online. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Lauren Wilson, partner at Dentons. And as she's reminded us, there are tons of different approaches to AI governance. What is clear is that we have to have some kind of approach, and we have to be very deliberate about it. We know that Guava Communications has an AI-powered Hummer that's just on the outside, that we can actually go and see how that is working and how AI is being used to power even vehicles. So the world is changing right around us, and it is happening now. Philip Cross is our next presenter, a veteran of CANTO, Bitech Caribbean Director, and he is going to be talking to us about sustainable regulation in an era of data communications. Please give me a rousing welcome for Philip Cross. Hi, Philip.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, Rochelle. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all hearing and seeing well what's going on. First, let me thank CANTO, the Secretary General, and the Board of CANTO for giving me this opportunity to speak to you today about this important subject. As you would see there, I'm the Bitech Caribbean representative, and I used to be the ITU Caribbean representative, and when I retired, my friend Cleveland took over, and I understand he's doing a good job, and you're working well with him. I also saw my old friend Cosmos Zavazava this morning, and he made a statement that you have a, I think he said, resilient partner, and I would just encourage you all to take him up on that. Now, we're going to talk about sustainable regulation. So what is sustainable regulation? We don't really know, but we know some of the things that must be there. One, the operator must provide service that satisfies the needs of the stakeholders. And they must also be allowed to make some money, because if you put your money in, you need to get some money out. Regulators should regulate fairly and ensure that the needs of the governments and the consumers get the attention of the operators. Customers must receive value for their money, and they are able to undertake their activities satisfactorily. Universal service funds are sufficient to ensure that coverage is extended to all areas of the different countries. Now, this can only be successful if USF is obtained from data traffic instead of voice traffic. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. Also, your digital borders need to be protected. So what do we mean by that? You protect your exclusive economic zone, yes. So you prevent all these illegal activities from going on. You also protect your airspace, but your digital borders are wide open. And anyone can go send signals in, do whatever they want to do. So you need to protect your digital border. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And we have a biotech topology discovery system, which I'll mention later on. Now, the idea of sustainability. I like to start at the top, where some of these things start. So I always go back to the UN. And we have the UN Sustainable Development Agenda, which was adopted in 2015. And they have several goals, and it's intended to help to relieve poverty, protect the planet, and do a lot of good things. And one of the main drivers of that is information and communication technology. Okay, so that's why it's important. Last year, the ITU Global Symposium for Regulators was held in Egypt, and I know many of you were there. And they came up with some important findings, if you will. One of them, our focus here is on novel, innovative, groundbreaking, evidence-based approaches and tools to support a meaningful and sustainable development, sustainable digital future for all people everywhere. B, universal service funding. Policymakers and regulators can employ universal service financing mechanisms to address the needs of rural, unserved and underserved areas and populations in vulnerable situations. And C, data and benchmarks. Regulators need the resources and capacity to collect relevant data to support their decisions in an open and transparent manner and to establish metrics and benchmarks to measure regulatory compliance and progress towards achieving connectivity targets and policy goals. So these are some of the things that came out of that global symposium. So what has changed and what is causing what we see as some sort of a turmoil? Well, OTTs, the over-the-top operators, they have become a major influencer. Voice traffic has dropped significantly, and data traffic has increased significantly. So as voice traffic tends to zero, so data traffic heads for infinity. But they're going in the different directions. Neither will achieve those goals, but that's the direction in which they're going. Universal service funds have fallen significantly due to the fall in voice traffic. Consumers want OTTs, so operators can't even think about blocking or anything. Consumers are saying, we want that, so operators have to give it to them. And all stakeholders are concerned by the present situation. Now we know that there are some discussions between the operators and the OTTs in order to come to some amicable settlement. And I think it was yesterday the ambassador for FCC, or some ambassador, he spoke, and he restated an old US government position that they are opposed to making payments to operators. So, for those negotiations, there's just one little tip I can give you, and that is to look at the World Conference on International Telecommunications, which was one of the few ITU conferences that did not achieve its objectives, the WICET as it's called, in 2012. And there, some of the positions of the US government were laid out and why they would not sign that particular agreement. So if you look into that, you will see some reasons why the situation is so difficult, but I don't think impossible. Now, just a couple of quotes here. We see where the CEO of the Universal Service Fund in Jamaica was talking about the dilemma that they have and with the constant fall of revenue from voice telephony. And the second one is in 2020, Technology Minister Fayval Williams says the sustainability of the Universal Service Fund is concerning as its revenue remain on a downward trajectory due to the predominant use of data over voice calls. She says the USF is therefore finding it more difficult to fulfill its mandate of rolling out Wi-Fi community access points across the island. Now, I know some of the countries here do not have universal service funds. Wrong. Every country needs to have a USF. The USA has one, and that's what's rolling out a lot of their ICTs, internet, etc. So who do not have, they need to have one. No, maybe I should have asked the question before. If I asked you who has the lowest data rate in the Caribbean, would you have said Haiti? Perhaps not. But Haiti is 22 cents per gigabyte, followed by Trinidad and Jamaica. Now my question here is, we have like the 5 ECTEL countries, and we see a difference, a significant difference between the cost of data in those countries. Bahamas, I'm not sure why Bahamas is at $4.99. No, data rates keep going down. But if you have 5 ECTEL countries with an economic unity, I thought their data rates would have been closer to each other. And this information comes from cable.co.uk. So there are some differences there, and there's something which I guess I do not fully understand. So some of the possible solutions. And here again, we mentioned BITEC. We undertake a topology survey to get a clear picture of the situation, and I'll tell you a little bit more shortly. We protect our digital borders. We ensure that only licensed operators can conduct business. Use traffic, data traffic, as the source of your USF, rather than voice. If you use voice, it's not sustainable. So that sustainability that you're looking for, you're not going to get it. Remove illegal operators from carriers. And I have a couple of slides that are interesting. Ensure that IP addresses are registered so that you're using ARIN and LACNIC. And then something which I didn't have there. For the regulators, most regulators are dealing with a voice environment, and they're now just transitioning to a data environment. So whereas they might have been talking about caller line identification, and now we're talking about the NATing and how IP addresses are awarded. That is a big issue, and it's one that the regulators will start to deal with. They must start dealing with it, because some of the things that we've looked at, country with, say, 3 million devices, you will not find 3 million IP addresses. It's much, much less, and you're wondering what is going on. Perhaps is it due to the CG NATing that is allocated to different people? But it is also due to the fact that several IP addresses from outside of the region are there. Okay, we have this in BITEC. BITEC has been developing various types of software, and right now, we've taken it to the point where this software can identify all routes into and out of the country. We can identify fraud on an operator's network. We can measure traffic volume, be it data, be it voice. And we can do surveys. We can do a remote survey to give you a pretty good idea what's happening in your country. Okay, so this is one of the interesting. There's a country X, and I just forgot the name of the country. But they said, okay, give us an idea what's going on here. So we said, well, what do you have? So we have 3 operators there. And they gave us an idea of how information, their networking from cables, from satellites, there are things that are going on there. So that is their expected network. So they're using C cables and microwaves. That is what the regulator said to us. So we said, fine, we're going to stay in the UK, and we're going to do a remote for you, and we'll show you what we find. So I have to come over here to read this. So they found the official C cable and cable brought over microwaves. They found the incumbent operator in 1, 2, 3. Then they found 16 entities advertising data services and in that particular country. They form a wide range from a wide variety of different disciplines, from banking to everything. We find a banking network. We find various. No, it doesn't mean that they are all illegal. What was interesting in there is, if you see right at the bottom, we found LEO, ISP presence, low Earth orbiting satellite. Now, if you award a license to a LEO, the guy goes to the regulator and he says, I'd like to be licensed to operate here. The regulator says, fine, you're going to pay me $100 per month, and this is where you're going to locate your equipment. Now, some of these things you can get 300 megabytes per second, 400 megabytes per second. That can service an entire village. That can run an entire company, like a bank that we found there. It can do a whole lot. Now, the regulator does not know what is on the other side of that link. Do we have a SIM bank there? Maybe we do, maybe we don't. So this is one way of penetrating the digital border. We're not saying one shouldn't do these things, but we're saying be wary. These are things that happen. So this is, I think, my last slide, because maybe somebody might want to throw a question or two at me. In May of 2024, security forces in Thailand, based on tips they received, they raided a number of locations where they confiscated a number of items intended for illegal communications, including scam calls and illegal call centers. Equipment included SIM boxes, thousands of SIM cards, and satellite equipment. And this shows again the need to protect the border. They found out because they got a tip. And if you know what's happening out there in the Pacific, a lot of these operations in that border region are carrying out a lot of illegal activities which are affecting us over here. The second one is closer to home. It concerns Haiti. On January 3rd, 2023, the Irish Times, and I think some of you are familiar with the Irish Times, reported that Digicel had won a bitter 8-year legal battle with a US rival it accused of fraud. Digicel Haiti, one of its most lucrative units, has been awarded more than $10 million in damages against Oregon company UPM Technology and its chief executive, Bruce Tran. Digital accused UPM of so-called bypass fraud, where one telco uses technology to override the system of another to essentially resell its calls on the cheap. Part of the reason why that worked out is that at the time, we were asked to do a little monitoring for BITEC, that is, for Haiti, for the regulator. And they saw the SIM boxes. So that information was there because here it is. The second part is that the lawyers for Digicel, they actually asked, I was the expert witness for the lawyers, so we could put the case together properly. And in the end, Digicel won the case. So we need to look towards a few things here. Can we protect our borders? Can we get our USF going? How do we have sustainable regulation? How do the regulators retune? So my address, my name is there, my address, my contacts. So if anybody wants to ping me, and let me just repeat again. The idea about the negotiations with the operators, as I understand it, the FCC is not going to be able to do a lot. So it becomes a government issue because there were pronouncements from the government of the US prior to the WICIT, after the WICIT conference. So if you need to get something done, it's going to be, as far as I can see, at the government level. And with that, I'll end my presentation. Thank you very much. If anyone has anything.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Philip Cross. You can leave it there, Philip. For that very interesting conversation. Philip, Bitech Caribbean Director, we have to protect our digital borders. As we are pouring through our last day of CANTO, for just a moment, because some of us have been sitting beside each other or sitting in lunch or just passing each other and we haven't said proper hellos and introduced ourselves. So just turn to the person beside you. Turn to the person beside you and say morning, good morning. It's been great being here for 3 days of CANTO. Shake hands, introduce yourselves, give them a smile. I know a lot of you have just seen each other and haven't said anything to each other, so now you're lifelong friends. Hi, Guy Malone, how you doing? You know, in church, when they do that part in the morning where they say everybody must walk around and give welcome, and the peace, everybody feels good. Good morning. So good morning again. As we are powering through, we are now going to hear from Melanie Blake, who is General Manager, DigiWallet Belize. She's going to be telling us about connecting and empowering an inclusive digital economy, the intersection of payments and digital transformation in the Caribbean. And she's actually going to be followed. We're going to have 2 great remarks from our ministers. So please give a round of applause for Melanie Blake, General Manager, DigiWallet Belize. Welcome. Welcome, Melanie. It's up there. So you can just click the green button to go forward.
Which one?
The green button, this one. And just point it at the monitor.
Good morning. How are you guys today? I'm going to try to have as much enthusiasm like our moderator today. So again, my name is Melanie. This is my first time at CANTO, right? I'm very excited. So it's a pleasure to be here today as we embark on our journey towards digital transformation and sustainability in Belize. At the heart of this journey lies our commitment to fostering a robust and digital economy through innovation and accessibility. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce our new DigiWallet solution, a pioneering step towards revolutionizing financial transaction in Belize. Belize, we're a very cash-intensive society, right? Our goal is to move Belize to go cashless. We've launched our DigiWallet solution 2 years back. We are a subsidiary of Belize Telemedia Limited, which is the national telecommunications in Belize. The company has dated back to 1902, where we have since grown from a small company and now to one of the largest national telecommunications in Belize. We are the first to launch a quad play service. So we have a suite of services which include mobile services. We also have fiber to the home and fiber to the business. We also have fixed telephone services. And we recently went into OTT, which we're offering content services on the go. And last but not least, we have also expanded our business in the fintech industry. And our goal is to transition from a telecommunication company, a telco, to a technology company, which is a telco. So DigiWallet, our mission is to revolutionize the payments in Belize, which is a secure, user-friendly mobile wallet, fostering financial inclusion and empowering Belizeans to manage their finance effectively. These are the suite of services that we offer to our customers. Customers are able to get airtime. They're able to shop seamlessly, scan and pay at stores. They're also able to move money from their wallet to a financial institution or a credit union. We also have the option in which customers are able to send money. They can pay all their utility bills, including shopping and getting mobile products for their family and friends. And then we also have a marketplace in which customers are able to purchase gift cards. So when we look at our footprint, DigiWallet was actually birthed through COVID. COVID had brought about a lot of changes in the industry, and it was no different for our company. Though there were great challenges, there were also great rewards that came with this. And so our mission is to work along with the Central Bank of Belize to include and expand financial services to all Belizeans. So when we look at our footprint to date, we have 60% of our customers who are in the urban area, followed by 40% that are in the rural area. When we look at the gender breakdown, we have 54% of our customers that are female using the wallet versus 46% that are male. And that's of course because us women, we like shopping, right? We are also looking at the generational demographics, and we're seeing that our Gen Zs are the more avid user of the wallet. Of course, these are the digital native savvy customers, followed by the millennials. And then when we look at bank versus unbanked, we have 64% of our customers that are unbanked. So these are some of our real stories. How are we transforming the landscape in Belize? So when we look at how are we empowering our communities, I know that some of our Caribbean countries went through difficulties with this hurricane. Belize is also prone to hurricane. We actually got hit in 2022 by Hurricane Lisa. We recently launched in 2022, and that said year, we were able to work alongside with different stakeholders, ministries, alongside with different stakeholders to do cash assistance program to Belizeans that were affected by Hurricane Lisa. So through our platform, we were able to do various cash assistance program, especially to the marginalized community, and this is allowing us to expand financial access to these persons living in the very remote areas in Belize.
Well, I think it's a good project because it will help the children to grow and to be healthy.
I'm very happy when I received this grant. I'm very happy with this. Thanks to the development, the minister, and the government of the Belize. So I just want to say thanks to the
All right, so moving further into the presentation, we're also taking our solution to schools. We know that our kids are the future, so how are we making that impact in the education sector? We have recently partnered with some of the secondary schools in Belize in which we are implementing a range of benefits to enhance security, convenience, and financial literacy. By enabling cash transactions for school fees, uniform, books, and meal. Our platform allows for us to reduce the need of students to carry that physical cash, and parents can also cash in their kids' wallet if it is that they forgot to give them money for school. Using our platform does allow that convenience. So we are enhancing security by reducing the need for physical cash. Again, bringing that convenience to parents, And we're also working alongside with the schools to promote financial literacy, teaching our students how to manage their finances, budgeting, and of course, the importance of saving. So we're definitely fostering and shaping a financial savvy generation in Belize. So just taking a look at what we did with one of the secondary schools in Belize.
We have this change game. We can catch this or individually. Grabbing a bite in the cafeteria is a whole new experience. Who needs cash? We just pay individually. Our link that refers to our ID cards. It's quick, safe, and super easy. Download and try Digital Wallet today. Set trends. Keep your passwords with Digital Wallet. Let us help you to empower your school with Digital Wallet. Streamline payments, elevate efficiency.
And also, we're moving into the rural communities. This is the heart for us. This is why we had launched Digital Wallet to expand financial products in rural areas. So we are enhancing financial inclusion by offering a suite of services to cater to diverse financial needs. Through Digital Wallet, our customers can conveniently pay their bills, such as utilities and school fees, reducing the need for travel and long waits. So we are expanding our bill collection agents. We're allowing or expanding our remote footprint in communities to allow for parents to be able to cash in. When they cash in through their wallet, they're able to move that money from their wallet to a credit union or a financial institution. So we are increasing inclusion. It's a convenient option for our customers to be able to participate using our platform. What does the future hold for Digital Wallet? Our future is very bright. We are planning to go into, or expanding our portfolio to go into remittance services, transportation payments. We're moving along in how we're going to offer in the tourism sector and e-commerce. So we're looking at expanding our footprint in remittance to offer a secure and cost-effective way for our Belizeans to be able to send and receive money, transportation integration to streamline public transportation for taxis, going to that full cashless experience. So in overall, we are expanding our product portfolio. E-commerce will allow us to enable online purchases, supporting business growth and providing consumers with more flexibility. These expansions will enhance financial inclusion and drive economic growth and improve our overall customer experience. So I just want to say thank you all for your attention. Before concluding, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge and extend our sincere thoughts to those that were affected by the hurricane across the Caribbean. Our hearts go out to all those who are navigating through this challenging time, and we stand in solidarity with our Caribbean neighbors. Together, let's continue to innovate, collaborate, and build a resilient future where technology serves as a catalyst for positive change. Thank you once again. Here's to a brighter future, more connected future for all. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, Melanie Blake, General Manager, DigiWallet Belize. Another round of applause for Melanie Blake. So ladies and gentlemen, one of the great things about CANTO is that CANTO brings together the ministers of government, the regulators, the operators, the vendors, all of the providers in telecoms. There's really no conference like it. And we have been privileged to have many of our Caribbean ministers in-house, and we're now in afternoon. This morning, we will be hearing from two more of our ministers. The first one, the Minister of Traffic, Transport and Urban Planning of Curaçao, the Honorable Charles Fernandez Cooper. A little bit about Honorable Charles Fernandez Cooper. After completing his vocational study in electrical engineering, he continued in the Netherlands, where he obtained degrees in instrument engineering, process techniques, and a Bachelor of Chemical Engineering at the University of Applied Sciences in Breda. In 1992, he received his master's degree of chemical engineering at the University of Zulia with support of the Isla Refinery. At Isla Refinery, he worked as instrument engineer, process control engineer, and section head of the process automation department. In Curaçao politics, he held several positions: Commissioner of Health and Social Affairs, Island Council member, Commissioner of Infrastructure and Public Transportation of the Island Territory, Member of Parliament, and currently he is the Minister of Traffic, Transportation and Urban Planning. As Minister, he focuses on improving the infrastructure with an ambitious multi-year maintenance plan. Other topics that have received his attention are aviation, shipping, public transport, living, working, road safety, telecommunications, cybersecurity, and cyber management. Minister Charles Fernandez Cooper has a clear goal to create a noticeable improvement for a sustainable, livable, and very prosperous Curaçao. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as we welcome Minister of Traffic, Transport and Urban Planning of Curaçao, Charles Fernandez Cooper. Another round of applause for the Honorable Minister. Thank you, Minister.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we say in the Caribbean, brothers and sisters, good morning. I would like to take a moment to discuss some of the key challenges and opportunities we face in the telecom sector in Curaçao. First and foremost, the concept of digital inclusion is at the heart of our telecommunications strategy. We believe that access to digital services is a fundamental right. And we are dedicated to ensuring that no one is left behind in this rapidly evolving digital world. Our commitment to the digital inclusion means that we are working tirelessly to bridge the digital divide and provide equitable access to technology and information for all our citizens. In line with this commitment, we are excited to announce that we are implementing number portability in Curaçao right now. The significant step forward will empower our citizens by giving them the freedom to retain their telephone number when switching services between services providers. Number portability enhances customer choice, fosters competition, and ultimately leads to a better services and lower cost for everyone. Another cornerstone of our telecommunication policy is recognizing internet as a universal service obligation. We firmly believe that access to reliable and affordable internet services should be available for everyone, regardless of their geographical location. As we have observed these days, ensuring university internet access is crucial for education, businesses, healthcare, and overall social economic development. Furthermore, the challenge of connectivity through submarine cable is a critical regional challenge that we must address together. Submarine cable are the lifelines that connect our islands to the global digital economy. And improving this infrastructure is essential for our economic growth and resilience. While we recognize that enhancing our submarine cable connectivity is a complex and long-term endeavor, we are committed to work with regional partners and stakeholders to ensure robust and secure connection. Living on a small island, we are particularly vulnerable to the impact of climate change and environmental degradation. Rising sea levels, more frequent and intense storms, and changes in the marine ecosystem pose significant threat to our homes and natural surroundings. Protecting our island and adapting of these challenges are crucial for our future. These challenges in telecommunication are not unique to Curaçao. They are regional issues and require coordination, effort, and sustained commitment for us all. We understand that these challenges cannot be solved overnight, but we are determined to make continued progress. So, as we look into the future, I am pleased to announce that the next annual general meeting of CANTO in January coming will take place in Curaçao. This event will provide a valuable opportunity for us to come together once more time, share insight, and collaborate on solutions to this pressing issue. I'm confident that together we can make significant strides in advancing our telecom infrastructure and ensuring digital inclusion for us all. I look forward to seeing you in Curaçao next year, and we can then follow up on these topics and more. Thank you for your attention, and now let us enjoy a video of Curaçao.
Region and around the globe, exchange ideas, and forge partnerships that shape the future.
Roger. It's no wonder we are hosting CANTO Conference in Curaçao, an island in the Southern Caribbean Basin, home to people from over 40 destinations worldwide.
This melting pot of culture and diversity has hosted many CANTO conferences, and we can't wait for next year's event. While we promise a fruitful conference, we also guarantee an ambiance filled with relaxation, leisure, and of enjoyment.
Hi, I'm Kurt Belfort, CEO of the Regulatory Authority of Curaçao, formerly known as Bureau Telecomunicatie en Post. I'd like to personally invite you and look forward to welcoming you to the 41st AGM celebration in January.
UERAC is the multi-sectoral regulator in Curaçao, entrusted with regulating no fewer than 7 sectors. Our mission is to ensure fair and transparent regulation for a thriving community.
It is an honor for us to host CANTO conference. So, together, we can create a prosperous Caribbean future.
Nos Tower d'Água.
So, you are invited. Welcome next year to Curaçao in January.
Thank you very much, Honorable Charles Cooper. I could hear those computers clicking as the flights were being booked for January in Curaçao. Another round of applause for the minister. And congratulations, number portability being launched, USO funds being used. Much is happening in Curaçao, and we will get to experience it for ourselves in January 2025. At this time, and you just saw him in the video, it is my pleasure to introduce to you the Minister of Economic Development of Curaçao, the Honorable Rosandra Sanja. Thank you. He is a proud native of Curaçao. He stands as the visionary Minister of Economic Development since September 22nd, 2021. With over 26 years of dedicated service as a police officer, he exemplifies a life committed to safeguarding and uplifting his community. His enduring devotion to his homeland, Curaçao, has consistently shaped his path as a champion of prosperity and progress. Beyond his duties within the police force, the minister emerged as a staunch advocate for labor rights, making his mark as an effective, dependable syndicalist. His unwavering dedication to protecting workers' rights stood as a testament to his commitment to justice and fairness. In 2017, he embarked on a new chapter by entering the realm of politics. His trajectory was defined by a steadfast commitment to learning and growth, culminating in his inauguration as the Minister of Economic Development in 2021. This transition marked a profound shift from his earlier roles, underscoring his ability to adapt, evolve, and contribute to the greater development of Curaçao. His intellectual pursuits have been equally remarkable. Armed with a master's degree in business administration with a specialization in general management, he possesses profound insights into effective leadership, maintaining quality standards, and driving sustainable growth. In the vibrant tapestry of his life, the Honorable Rosandra Sanja emerges as an exceptional figure who has seamlessly woven dedication to community, family, leadership, faith, and education into a legacy of progress. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as we welcome, with a big CANTO welcome, the Minister of Economic Development of Curaçao, the Honorable Rosandra Sanja.
Bom dia. Bom dia, bom dia. That means good morning. Esteemed guests, colleagues, distinguished guests, it is for me an honor and a pleasure to join this session today. Curaçao, with its unique position in the Caribbean, is a beacon of cultural heritage, natural beauty, and a strategic importance. Our island is not just a destination. It is a vibrant community where the potential for economic growth through tourism and technology is immense. This hand fan that I am holding in my hand right now symbolizes the new positive breeze that we are blowing in the economy of Curaçao, mainly by the tourism and sector. And I want to blow this positive breeze also in the region of the Caribbean. So this is the facade of the Curaçao, Handelskade. You will notice this, like my colleague just mentioned, in January of the next year when you all are in Curaçao. During my presentation, the following areas will be addressed, and I will keep it short and sweet. I see. The next slide, please. The traditional economic pillars have been challenged. Our refinery has been shut down, which was 25% of our GDP. The contribution of the international financial service has been declined. The Venezuelan crisis has impacted the local economy, and COVID-19 pandemic has hit the local economy, causing a declining of the GDP for almost 19%. So, the approach of the government was being twofold. On a short-term approach, by stimulating the tourism and the IT sector to boost the economy, and the mid and long-term approach is the implementing of the national export strategy, which aims to stimulate new export sector. And both technology is crucial in both sectors. That's why when we are talking about technology, internet connectivity, we must talk about how to embrace it with the economy. And the tourism is the most important economic pillar for most of the island in the Caribbean. So that's why I put attention today on tourism and IT sector development. To give a short view what it means for Curaçao, when we go to the numbers, you can see by 2019, the stayover tourism in Curaçao was about 463,000 stayover tourism. And we see when the pandemic hit, 2020 and 2021, we see a declining. And by 2022, Curaçao, the numbers already surpassed the number of 2019. So by 2023, we had our first record-breaking numbers, achieving 500,000 of stayover tourism in Curaçao. And right now, as you see the numbers, by the end of 2024, we're already talking about 700,000 stayover tourism. And as it's projected, by the end of 2026, we are talking about 770,000 stayover tourism. So, new technology is very important to give the experience to those that are visiting the Caribbean. We are leveraging technology to enhance the tourism experience. This includes face recognition for immigration checks, application providing real-time public bus schedules, 27 taxi ordering apps, and digital marketing strategies. We are also very proud to announce the launch of the world's first fully operational contactless border crossing at Curaçao International Airport. Using the Airside Digital Identity app and Vision Box seamless journey platform. Travelers can now enjoy a smooth, secure, and seamless experience from start to finish. Let us enjoy a short video of 2 minutes to see what we are talking about. The next. So, as small island development state, we can be pioneering in new technology. We can do this in the Caribbean, showing the world what we can create locally and export it globally. Besides that, we are hosting TikTok Island Hub that is being offered between, amongst other, Curacao and Bonaire, and we hope to do it also in the region. Making use of AI to break barriers of communication, which allow us to target the Asian market soon. To be able to fulfill further economic development, it is crucial to have an island-wide connectivity and affordable. Export and IT services is also what we aim. We are diversifying our economy. It's not just tourism. So I would like to invite you to scan the QR so you can download the whole strategy of our national export strategy, and that is for the mid and long-term vision. You all can scan it, and there you can see opportunities that we can collaborate for a brighter region. Where we are in the IT sector nowadays. The two main local IT sector services that are being exported nowadays are business and financial service to governments across the Caribbean region, banking, insurance, and security service to the Caribbean and Latin America countries. This service provides more than 50% of the total revenue generated by the sector in 2020, which equals the amount of $26 million US. From the total export generated income, 80% is originating from computer and information service provided to companies in the Caribbean and Latin America region. Further objectives for the IT sector, we target to be achieved in the near future. Accelerate the development in EI by investing in initiative and collaboration with NVIDIA to position Curacao as a regional EI hub. Increase the number of companies that are internationally recognized with IT-related certificate to 67%. And the third, increase monthly banking transfer in a fast and secure way using software system built and supplied by Curaçao. This approach is already being implemented in the several Caribbean nations. The strategic use of our local domain name, .cw, is the local country code. The domain name is a powerful resource that is not being used optimally. Our intention is to develop a completely new business industry by leveraging this domain. For marketing purpose, we will position the local domain name CW as Curaçao to the world. We will promote the local domain name to the youth and business communities, similar to how the youth use Facebook, Instagram, and other social platforms. We encourage them to create new content utilizing the local domain name CW. By doing so, we will promote patriotism and utilize our local data center, BlueNap, a Tier 4 data center for hosting data in an optimal way. All content will be stored locally, ensuring our data is safe and secure within our jurisdiction. In the era of sovereignty, using our local domain, CW will promote digital sovereignty, keeping our data within our own jurisdiction. We will also offer free emails to digital ambassadors using this structure at Curaçao.cw. This initiative will help rebrand Curaçao in the digital world, enhancing the digital identity of Curaçao. In closing, the vision is continuous improvement of innovation, leveraging tourism and technology for sustainable economic growth in Curaçao, embracing new ideas and technologies to remain at the forefront of this dynamic sector. We say masha masha danki, meaning thank you very, very much. I will see you soon in Curaçao.
Masha danki to you, Minister. Looking forward to seeing you in Curaçao in January 2025. In Curaçao. So we're going to breeze into Curaçao. So at this time, we are going to take our coffee break. Our return time from our coffee break is 11:40. It is even more important that you get here for 11:40 because we have exactly 2 minutes of scanning time after 11.